Let us rise together and sing our gathering hymn, Wake Now My Senses, by the Reverend Thomas Michelson, who was a teacher of hymnody at Harvard Div School when I was there. Let us listen and let us share in his words.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Unitarian Portland. We are a multi-generational community that strives to keep love at the center. And whether you're here in the sanctuary today or joining online, we are glad you are with us, especially as this service arrives really early today with the time change. If you're visiting us today for the first time, we hope you will join the Welcome Circle with Jen Thomas, our Membership Engagement Coordinator, immediately following the service in the side gallery. You can learn a bit more about First Unitarian, ask questions, and meet other newcomers and members. Today is the second Sunday of the month, which must mean it is Super Sunday. We hope you will all join us for social hour downstairs in Fuller Hall after the service, where you can get a bowl of our ever popular vegan tomato soup or a bean-based vegetable soup. And all are welcome, as are donations of $5, which help us to ensure we can continue this offering. The drop-in community and parent circles will meet today in Daisy Bingham right next to Fuller Hall at 11:45. Everyone is welcome to join Reverend Leah Ongiri and Jen Thomas for a discussion of this month's spiritual theme, Vision. So get your bowl of soup and join us for this great opportunity to meet folks and enjoy some time together, and childcare is provided. Each Tuesday from 5:30 to 6:15, you can join Reverend Alison and Jen Thomas for an online discussion of the most recent service. The Zoom link can be found in the e-news and is the same week to week. Next Sunday at noon, our Committee on Hunger and Homelessness, or COHO, and our Shower Project volunteers are teaming up for a screening of the documentary No Place to Grow Old. Filmed in Portland, this poignant documentary sheds light on the growing crisis of senior homelessness in America. It's a call to action and a reminder that homelessness is a problem that affects us all in Portland and beyond. And the film's director, Davy Schaup, will be there for a talk after the screening, along with members of COHO, the Shower Project, and We Shine. So please register ahead for this so that they can know how much pizza to buy, because there will be pizza. Registration is also open for the Community Passover Seder at 12:15 p.m. on Sunday, April 13th. Passover is the Jewish holiday that symbolizes the universal human quest for liberty. This special ceremonial UU interfaith event, beautifully structured for all ages, is a remembrance of the Jews' flight from slavery in Egypt long ago. Led by Reverend Alison Miller, her family, and the Seder team, it is a worship service, a song fest, a banquet, and a blend of goodness, goodies, gravity, and joy. Again, all ages are welcome to enjoy the service and the delicious traditional Seder food lunch. Adults are $25 and children are $10. And again, please register soon. There are limited spaces for that. And now it would be lovely if you would take some time to greet one another here and online.
Wow, we are highly energized. Folks at home, it's a lot of energy in the sanctuary. In case you're tired and in pajamas, we send it to you. We open our worship by lighting our chalice together and sharing in this unison affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love. Our call to worship is our words actually created by this community and passed in 1993 in a visioning process. Many congregant meetings created this mission statement. Given our long and distinguished history in Portland, we covenant together to create a welcoming community of diverse individuals, to promote love, reason, and freedom in religion, to foster lifelong spiritual growth, and to act for social justice. That has been our mission statement for 32 years. And today, we want to honor all of the staff and all of the lay leaders that co-create this congregation, this community. First, I want to take a moment to honor Dana Buell, our Director of Social Justice, who's, yes? Who is about to depart on sabbatical. So, one of the things that you'll have an opportunity, if you'd like to, you can send Dana messages of well wishes and support or urgent questions on Monday or Tuesday. And then she'll be wrapping things up on Wednesday and Thursday and really headed into a time of renewal. And so we are grateful for you, and we are grateful that you have this time. And second, we wanted to lift up our lay leaders who co-create our community, and you all do this in so many ways. Today, I want to lift up those of you that have joined the Legacy Society. It is Foundation Month here in our community, and the foundation is our endowment, and the generosity of people giving gifts during their lifetime or leaving bequests to us in their will create solid foundations and help contribute to our ability to weather challenging years in terms of financial situations and the better ones. It allows us to live into our mission and our vision, to support worship and social justice, to support caring and learning, and to support our role as being one of the heart centers in Portland. So I want to ask everyone who has joined the Legacy Society, who has given a gift or included the foundation in their will, would you please rise at this time? And if you're at home, will you rise as well? We are grateful for all that we give and receive to one another. And now for an offering of music. Braden Ayers is leading music with us today. Garrett, our music director, invited him. Braden is the director of the Portland Gay Men's Chorus, and I just want to explain to him something in our language, which is, and of course to the choir as well, which is that when something really moves us, a lot of us will go like this, because the warmth of community. And so you heard people like, I'm so excited, I want to clap, but actually I'm feeling deeply moved. Deeply moved. So Braden, that's what that means. Thank you. I know that some of you follow the strand of wisdom from Islam in many forms, including the Sufi path. And I wanted to wish all a blessed Ramadan, and as a meditation for all of us, I offer this responsive reading from the back of our hymnal, The Journey of Love by Muhammad Iqbal. Will you rise in body or in spirit and join with me in sharing it? Where in our hearts is that burning of desire? It is true that we are made of dust, and the world is also made of dust, but the dust has motes rising. Whence comes this drive in us? We look to the starry sky and love storms in our hearts. Whence comes that storm? The journey of love is a very long journey, but sometimes with a sigh, you can cross that vast desert. Search and search again without losing hope. You may find sometime a treasure on your way. My heart and my eyes are all devoted to the vision. And let us sing together our doxology, Spirit of Life, by someone who was a part of our community, Carolyn McDade.
It is our custom to share our Sunday offerings with community organizations that reflect our justice values. For this church year, we focus on groups that work for the rights and support of migrants. And this month, we share our plate with Oregon Farm Workers Union, PECUN, or Piñeros y Campesinos Unidos del Noroeste. Its mission is to empower farm workers and working Latinx families in Oregon by building community, increasing Latinx representation in elections, and policy advocacy on both the national and state levels. PECUN values the ability of workers to take action against exploitation. They strive to strengthen workers' rights by creating safer workplaces, advocating for fair wages, and pushing for enough economic security to care for families. PECUN was founded by farm workers, and today that legacy continues. So in a moment, our ushers will pass baskets for those of you who are contributing by cash or check. And if you'd like to share your offering online, you can use the QR code that will appear on the screen, or those of you in the sanctuary can use the yellow cards in the seat backs in front of you. So thank you very much for your generosity that helps sustain the mission of this church and of our community partners. During our service each week, we take time to hold the prayer intentions of our community. And if you're here in person, you can write your prayer intention in one of the side galleries and light a candle if you wish. If you're online, you can send your prayer intentions to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. Our ministers and our lay ministers are here to hold your prayers and provide care throughout the week. Our beautiful chancel flowers today celebrate the life of Michael Wade. Michael was an active member of our social justice community for decades, with a passion for economic justice and community gardening. Michael's memorial service is today in Elliott Chapel at 2 p.m. Allie Weller and her mom and grandmother share the wonderful news that Allie was accepted to De La Salle High School starting next year when she starts 9th grade. She is looking forward to this new adventure, and her family is very proud. Will you join me in a spirit of prayer and presence? And let's start by taking a conscious breath, settling into our bodies and bringing awareness to this moment. And let's take one more conscious breath together. Spirit of life, we gather today enveloped by spring's beauty as new life emerges all around us. Daffodils and crocuses blooming, tree buds showing hints of green and pink, the fragrances of Daphne, spring rain, and sunshine all heighten our senses. In these times of rapid change and local and global challenges, we give thanks for Earth's resilient reminders of possibility and transformation. Whether today we're in a time of personal grief and loss, or are struggling to make sense of the man-made assaults on justice, fairness, and liberty, may we call on the timeless wisdom in the cycles of life. May we remember the beauty and wonder of our earth home and draw on the strength of our relationships and community to hold us. Let us take refuge in the ever-present flow of our breath to remind us of the ever-present spirit of life and of love. May we root in our abilities for presence and wonder and draw on the power of earthly wisdom to envision paths of peace, justice, and joy that leave no one behind. May it be so. Amen. Let's take a few moments of stillness and meditation. Please stay seated as Braden leads us in the round, Where Do We Come From?
Before we begin, I want to say thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you. So a little preface, this next one is a round, like you said, and we're going to have 4 sections of this. So people on the far left, people in the middle, people on the other side, and then people on the far right. So we'll sing through the entire thing in unison once. Each phrase gets repeated 2 times. Then when we get to the end, we'll go back to the beginning with the first group. After they finish, the second group begins. It's like row, row, row your boat, right? So this is Where Do We Come From?
Today's reading is Why I Make Sam Go to Church by Anne Lamott. It is an excerpt from Traveling Mercies, Some Thoughts on Faith. Sam is the only kid he knows who goes to church. I make him go. He rarely wants to. And this is not exactly true. The truth is, he never wants to go. What 7-year-old would rather be in church than hanging out with a friend? It does not help him to be reminded that once he's there, he enjoys himself, that he gets to spend the time drawing in the little room outside the sanctuary, or that he actually has to sit still and listen only during the short children's sermon. It does not help that I always pack some snacks, some Legos, his art supplies, and any friend of his whom we can lure into our churchy web. It does not help that he genuinely cares for the people there. All that matters to him is that he alone of all of his colleagues is forced to spend Sunday morning in church. You would think, noting the bitterness and the resignation, that he was being made to sit through a 6-hour Latin Mass. Or you might wonder why I make this strapping, exuberant boy come with me most weeks. And if you were to ask, this is what I would say. I make him because I can. I outweigh him by nearly 100 pounds. But that is only part of it. The main reason is that I want to give Sam what I found in the world, which is to say, a path and a little light to see by. Most of the people I know who are doing well psychologically, who seem conscious, who do not drive me crazy with their endlessly unhappy dramas, the only people I know who feel safe, who have what I want, connection, gratitude, joy, are people with a deep sense of spirituality. They are people in community who pray and who practice their faith. They follow a brighter light than the glimmer of their own little candle, and they are part of something beautiful. Our funky little church is filled with people who are working for peace and freedom, who are out there on the streets and inside praying, and they are at the shelters with giant platters of food. When I was at the end of my rope, the people at St. Andrew tied a knot in it for me and helped me hold on. It is where I was taken in when I had nothing to give. The church became my home in the old meaning of home, that it's where, when you show up, they have to let you in. They let me in. They even said, "You come back now."
Sometimes people ask me, what do you say when someone asks, what does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? There are a number of answers that I might give depending upon the circumstance, and you will hear them over time from me here in the pulpit. Today, as we begin to reflect on our vision for this community in a time when our country has never seemed more divided, at least in my lifetime, when our nation's leaders are following a distorted, dystopian prosperity gospel and chasing profits rather than heeding the prophets, whether biblical prophets or contemporary ones, and when the dehumanizing rhetoric of so many beloveds permeates the air, I feel inspired by one of the definitions that I grew up with at my home church in the first part of my life, the Unitarian Church of All Souls in New York City. It's a simple definition and easy to remember, but harder to live by. To sum up Unitarian Universalism, the Reverend Dr. Church, how's that for a last name? The Reverend Dr. Church would say, Unitarianism proclaims that we spring from a single source, Universalism, that we share a common destiny. We all ultimately come from one source of creation that expanded and multiplied and became many and varied forms of life. Or some might simply say, we belong to the earth or the universe. We believe that in the end, we are all going to the same place, even though our understanding of that place may differ, from heaven to, again, simply returning to the earth or some other way to describe what happens. We come from one source, we return to one destiny. Many might resonate with the idea that we ultimately come from God or love or Mother Earth and are figuring our way back to be in right relationship, in communion with, that's a small g, God or love or Mother Earth our whole lives. At its essence, if we all come from the same source and our destinies are intertwined, then simply put, the ethos of Unitarian Universalism is that we are one. This orientation is the source of our commitment to building the beloved community, a spiritual vision that seeks to include all human beings and all beings in the kingdom of love. Part of our challenge today is we are living in a kingdom of greed, supremacy, and callous disregard for life in all its many and varied forms. There are times when the country or the wider culture flow more in the direction of recognizing the interdependence of all life, and times when they do not. In both cases, our compass is set to chart a course for the common destiny, which includes the well-being of all. When the winds are at our back, we can go quickly and far. And when we are navigating into strong headwinds, we do our best together to keep moving forward. None of us could get there on our own. We have need of places like this one where we can practice taking turns and learning from one another. As human beings, we have great potential and we fall short of that potential. Here, as Anne Lamott says, we learn to see by a brighter light than our own. This community and other communities with whom we seek to be in relationship help to call us back, to call us in, and to call our better selves forth when we might lose sight of our true north. We are one. We are destined for the beloved community. We have need of communities like this one our whole lives because where we are going is an intergenerational and multi-generational endeavor. As Dr. King preached, he witnessed the mountaintop, but wouldn't get to experience it in his lifetime. The journey towards wholeness began before any of us were born and will continue long after we are gone. Again, that is why we have need of communities like this one, which spans many generations. Rebecca Parker, a Unitarian Universalist theologian, says that one of the purposes of this, our lifelong learning community, is humanization in the context of dehumanizing forces and realities, and the abiding presence of healing, sustaining, and transforming grace. We begin to learn the lessons of using power to dehumanize others as children, and we come here to unlearn them, whether we arrive here as children or adults of any age. Given the way that prominent public leaders are behaving, I've been reflecting a lot on bullying. David Stovall, professor of educational policy studies and African American studies at the University of Illinois at Chicago, writes, like the traditional trope of the bully in the schoolyard, the bully often blames someone other than themselves for their own failures, while inflicting gratuitous punishment on those deemed the enemy. Let me share one example of healing, sustaining, and transforming grace that I witnessed in a community of young Unitarian Universalist learners on the topic of how to navigate bullying. I remember one afternoon teaching a 3rd and 4th grade class. One of the children, we'll call him Zach, in his check-in shared that one of the boys in his class had started a rumor that he had cooties. In case you haven't heard that word, cooties was actually a word associated with body lice in the First World War in the trenches, and has now become a word meaning something gross or contagious, and it's generally hurled against someone who's being taunted or actively disliked or rejected at school. Zach shared that it had been a week, can you imagine, a week, since anyone would touch or go near him. The bullying was so extreme that during soccer practice, the other children would let him score a goal rather than come anywhere near. I'll never forget that afternoon. After listening, I knew that there was nothing in the Timeless Themes curriculum that we were studying that was more important or timeless than Zach's situation. We decided to spend the hour talking about bullies, the cruel things that people do to one another, and what it meant to us as Unitarian Universalists, or just people who cared. We sat around the light of the chalice and heard one another's stories about times that we felt alone and times that we have made others feel alone or different or unwelcome. Why we did these things and how we really wanted to act in the world. One child even courageously shared the fears behind why she did act as a bully in her school. It was a transforming experience. Imagine if at your college or your workplace or in your continuous care retirement community, everyone sat down and talked about how they really wished to be treated, what motivated the people who were just out for themselves, and opened up a space to begin again. The relationships in that class changed in that hour, and I remembered why I really came to church as a child. It was a place where I could cultivate who I wanted to be in the world and gain the courage to act on it. The following week, Zach arrived with a huge smile on his face. Another boy in that same learning community class named Jeff happened to be the year ahead of him in the same school. Moved by the discussion of the prior week and the promises we made to one another, he stepped in and stood up for and with Zach. And naturally, others began to follow his lead. To me, that is church at its best. We got together for opening worship, which took us to a deeper place of listening, opened ourselves up to growth and change, and in turn, the community left inspired to transform their little corner of the world. When we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person in our first principle, it changes lives, including our own. When we covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards wholeness and to work to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions, as we do in our eighth principle, it changes lives, including our own. Well-known theologian Martin Buber spoke of the importance of operating from an I-thou relationship in our encounters as opposed to an I-it relationship. An I-thou relationship is one of mutuality where everyone's dignity is upheld. An I-it relationship is one of dominance and manipulation, where others may be treated as objects in service of bullies, colonial powers, supremacy, oligarchs, and so on. Buber also sees the ability to make promises as essential to human nature. He views us as promise-making, promise-breaking, and promise-remaking creatures. As Unitarian Universalists, we uphold a sacred I-thou relationship with our families, our friends, our fellow choir members, our neighbors, with marginalized communities within and beyond the confines of our faith, with strangers near and far, and even with those we oppose by doing our best to enact our 8 principles and the new denomination-wide expression of 6 values that help us to put love at the center of our lives. For those who aren't sure how to remember those 6 values, people are using a new acronym, not that we need another acronym, JETPIG: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. And the great news is we have those 8 principles, those promises in our bylaws here, and we have those 6 values that involve promises to put love at the center of our lives from the UUA. We can use both. Bullying doesn't end in the schoolyard. It is a fact of our daily lives, most evident these days. Bullying, using the power you have to dehumanize, dominate, or demonize someone with less physical, economic, social, or political power than you have, blaming them for what is wrong with the world, is unfolding all around us. But just like in the schoolyard, we can leverage our collective promises to change the character of society As UU theologian James Luther Adams writes, 1, the first characteristic of human collective existence is commitment, making an agreement or a promise. Promising is a feature of meaningful human existence. 2, institutional and not merely individual behavior is an indispensable aspect of human existence. None of us can achieve these sacred promises on our own. Responsibility for promoting mercy and justice, especially for those on the margins, requires criticizing those who have power in society, which is why in our covenantal faith and even in terms of the social contract, which is the fabric of our wider world community, we need the free press and the free pulpit. And thank you for the latter. And finally, the covenant is for the individual as well as the group. We weave the fabric of this community through making promises to one another about what will guide our individual and collective actions. This, in turn, shapes the people we are becoming here together. Then we go out into the world and continue to weave these principles into our lives and our neighborhoods, our cities and our country in ways that shape segments of society. In Portland, our congregation has engaged in this work since 1865, and these promises take on new forms over time. The way that we put love at the center, the way that we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person takes different shapes. Right now, I see these life-giving promises leading us to weave community with our neighbors through the Shower Project, helping people access hygiene, clean clothes, the warmth of hospitality, and mutual dignity. Right now, I see these life-giving promises leading us to weave community by putting pronouns of all kinds on our name tags. If we use pronouns, some people do not. She, he, they, ze, a, fey are among those I have noticed. This small but significant action feels critical in a time when so many of our beloveds' identities are being erased. Right now, I see these life-giving promises leading us to weave an intergenerational worship where we get to hear our children's voices in our pulpit over time. Children are welcome to be seen and heard in this place at all times. And next year, we're thinking about including a together time at the beginning of every service to make that even more clear. Which brings me to the next point. At the beginning of the service at the call to worship, I shared the words of our mission statement from 1993. I know for some folks that might sound recent, but it's a long time ago. In the coming year, we will be reflecting on our mission, vision, and strategic plan. And it's important that we, the community of today, shape the promises that shape who we are becoming. So it's not so much that there's something wrong with the words in 1993. It's that if I asked you to repeat all of them, how many of your hands would be able to go up in the air? Any hands? That's what's wrong with that statement right now. And we have an opportunity to reimagine what are the promises of love for us today. This spring, we'll begin with looking at our history. Where do we come from? Primarily the last 30 years. And we're going to look at our congregation and the world beyond. And then in the year to come, we're going to have opportunities to shape and reshape our mission and our vision for about 5 years out, and accompanying promises and plans for us to be on the move. What shape will fulfilling our promises take in the next decade? What ultimately matters in our religious life together is that we nurture and challenge one another to be more in tune with the fullness of our humanity, whether we are in the 3rd grade or 103. When we pursue things that evoke and create our wholeness, the wholeness of another, the wholeness of our world community, we are practicing and acting to become the beloved community. It is a vision rooted in agape, a love that flows freely for all humankind and views every person as sibling. It is a love that demands justice for all and asks all of us to be willing to make the creative choices and changes that lead to the well-being of all. It is a call worthy of the devotion of a lifetime, in spite of the fact that it will take several lifetimes to realize. It is the call to say yes to life's invitation to build a house of love, where when anyone knocks and enters, we say, yes, there is room for your spirit here. May we become that house of love. Amen, and blessed be one and all. And now, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it radiate out from within us. May it be gracious unto all of us. And may it fashion all of us into a people of a liberating love. For this is the day that you and I are given, so let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.